blowing out there. It's a little too rough for treasure salvage, so yeah. But we had I'd say, a pretty good season day-wise. We didn't have a lot of great visibility, but good enough season for what's in front of these boys. So. 19 days, that's what you got. And the less you can do it, the better. Maybe go fetch him. I think we better get rolling. Yeah, I hate to keep him. Yeah, turn the mic on. Thank you. And yeah, I want to thank Captain Hirams for the use of this beautiful space. I told Mike it was nicer than we are used to. So it's a beautiful view too. You almost hate to do this, but I know it's not good for the cameras to have the view of the sun behind us. But yeah, this is a great spot, and we've done a lot. 10 years ago, actually, were the last press conferences at Captain Hirams. 10 years ago. It's amazing. And one of the old owners had mentioned to me at the beginning of the season that these things happen on these kind of rounded dates, like 2015, 2025. I just hope we don't have to wait till 2035. All right. So yeah. Milty went to fetch him, so we'll be going shortly, everyone. And just so y'all know, this is just a sample. It's a pretty good sample. We wanted to give an idea, but because of the stuff being inventoried the way it is and things getting real messy, if we bring certain things out, certain coins are currently under conservation, and we wanted to give you a good example of what the conserved coins look like in the bigger case, and then what they look like as found. Nothing has been done to these coins, I don't believe, since they were found. Just they've been tagged and bagged and documented for our work with the state. Okay.
How many coins do you think are there in that pile?
In that, we didn't put the whole thing in. What do you reckon you put in there? 900 or 8-ish?
Close to 1,000. Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, and the total was 1,051 is what Levin said, and then you've conserved what so far? About 150? Yeah. Okay. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get started. Let's see, the microphone's on. I think it's small enough room y'all can hear me anyway. First of all, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Sal Gattuso. I'm the operations director for 1715 Fleet Queen's Jewels. And we are the historic shipwreck salvage operation that we have the exclusive rights to salvage the remains of the historic 1715 treasure fleet, which is just right behind us there and stretches for quite a while. We wanted to do a little bit of an announcement for this season because it was a remarkable and a historic discovery. It's not every season that we have a discovery of 1,000 plus large silver coins, gold coins. I mean, when we did the math, especially by today's value on these artifacts, we're talking about $1 million, give or take, on these once they're all conserved. Of course, the majority of this find was made by Captain Levin and his crew, and the MV Just Right. That was the first season for that boat, but don't mistake that Levin has been doing this for quite a few years, as everyone that knows him knows that. And I will get Levin and Mike up to discuss a little bit about the find, and we can answer some questions. But these shipwrecks happened July 31st, 1715. So this is the 310th anniversary, correct? And it's interesting how things happen. We were just talking about that, how the last time a big find was made was in 2015, which was the 300th anniversary. And now here we are 10 years later, which it still tells you, although sometimes when you're out there it feels like it's all been found, it tells you that there's still a lot there to be found. It's just not easy to be found. We were talking about the visibility being challenging this season. You may end up seeing it in some of the media that comes out. There's a great video that Levin shot underwater when he was finding these coins, and you can just see how cloudy that water was that day, but it was good enough to see the coins, thankfully. And I love this video too, but at the end of the video you can hear like almost a demonic laugh coming out of Levin's air regulator, like ah, ha, 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 which it just gives you the emotion of the thing. It is very emotional. But anyway, off topic, but historians have said that up to as much as $400 million worth of treasure was lost on these fleets. Does that ring true, John? John is our living history book on this because he's been doing this and still is into it, doing it the longest, writing books about it now. But, you know, 400 million worth of gold and silver, and some of that was salvaged in those days by the crown and then by pirates, but a lot of it got left behind. And this was, you know, treasures from the Americas going back to Spain. This discovery and any discoveries we make, it's not just about the treasure, but it's about the story that it tells. And every coin is you know, it's a piece of history. And so these coins, in an incredible state of preservation because they were buried under the sand, once they've been conserved, we're going to photograph the front and back of all of these, and our goal is to put together a book that has this whole collection in it, because some of these coins will go to the state of Florida, some of the coins will go to the owners and the finders, and so at some point in time they separate, they go their separate ways. So to put them in one book or one online website or whatever we do with this, it gives us a permanent record. Anyway, so the last time, I got to thank the Mel Fisher Treasures for the research on this, but the last time more than 1,000, and John also I talked to about this, of large silver coins was discovered, 1990 is what we gathered. And if that's the case, that's been a few years.
That's when I was born.
You were. So just to say that doesn't happen every day. So little did baby Levin know. 30 years later, whatever, 35. Gosh, 35 years later, he would be making some history. And this is history. These are pieces of 8. Most of these coins, as you can see, are the large ones, so 8 reales. Also some 4 reales. There's mints from Mexico. There's Lima. What else did we see in there? Did y'all see any Potosi, or is it just Potosi? So they were all New World mints. The gold coins came from Peru and Mexico. The gold jewelry and gemstones, who knows? But it was definitely from the New World. You know, this is called the Treasure Coast for a reason, although I've decided that the real treasure of the Treasure Coast is now real estate. It's not treasure anymore, but we still love the treasure and the history. We work under strict guidelines with the state of Florida and with regulatory agencies, and we follow these archaeological guidelines, and also, you know, abide by all the environmental guidelines. So with that, like I said, these will go under conservation, and they'll all end up stable and looking like the silver shiny coins that you come to know and love. I just, you know, with our company, I do need to mention that we are the U.S. District Court's custodian and the exclusive salvaging company of the 1715 Treasure Fleet. And then also, just so everyone knows, after you see this, that salvage work is only permitted by approved and up-to-date subcontractors of our company, so which is 1715 Fleet Queens Jewels. With that, I'd like to introduce these guys, and you know, if you don't have anything to say, you can just hold for questions and answers. Captain Mike Perna and his first mate, who has a few names, Cappy, or you know,
Choppy.
Choppy. Cappy isn't one of them. That's somebody else.
We can start calling him
Choppy. Milty's what I like to call him. And then Levin Shavers, Captain Levin Shavers, and Luke, I forgot your last name already.
Luke Fuller.
Fuller. You want to come up and just briefly give your tale of discovery? Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, we're all really stoked, super happy. Mike and Milty, I got introduced to them, you know, a while back, and I worked for a couple other treasure companies, and they, you know, had an idea of what was going on, but these guys really knew what to do. And as soon as I got involved with them, I took the ball and kind of ran with it. Further and further we got into it, we realized that, you know, it makes sense if we could kind of spread out a little bit. And this past year we decided to set up a new boat. and got really lucky with that boat. Our third day in, we ended up finding the first silver coin, and it was a little bit of a trail. You know, you needed to follow a crumb trail that ended up leading to the main dump of the coins. But you know, just totally unexpected in a way, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, this is exactly what we're looking for, and didn't expect it really to turn into such a significant culture pile. But incredibly thankful for all the hard work that got us there. They've developed a huge amount of the area, which had a lot of arrows pointing in the direction that I wanted to go, and ended up getting this boat together. Really needed a first mate. It's incredibly difficult to find hard, strong workers out there that have a little bit of intuition, aren't afraid of the water. Milty found Luke, and this guy was born to be a treasure hunter. So it was really awesome to get the right crew, right time, right place, and
Just right, you might say.
just right.
Which is
Again, really excited about it. Looking forward to the future. 1,000 points is a pretty good indicator that there's a lot more out there, and I believe it. So that's our focus. Let's get back out there and do some more work.
well done, man.
Thank you again. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys for all being here. Loving the treasure coast, and identify what we do is really something extraordinary and very interesting. So,
Right on.
super thankful. Yeah,
Right on.
appreciate it.
Q&A at this point.
Okay, yeah.
Do we have any questions or anybody comments or questions?
Sal, was there one day that most of this was recovered, or was it
Yep, there was, again, it was a scatter into main deposit. The main dump of coins was probably somewhere around 500. So once we got into that area, I'd say about a 6x6 area you couldn't miss. The detector just constantly ringing. Every swipe of the little bit of sand that was on the bottom, there's coins everywhere.
what day was that? When was this, back in July?
It was the 26th, I believe. Yeah, June 26th.
Yeah.
Good job.
Exciting stuff. Yeah.
How many excavations did you guys make?
19 excavations.
19
Yeah.
Quality over quantity.
Quality.
And again, a lot of it becomes, once you've opened up the bottom, you're down there for an hour in one
Yeah.
spot.
Right.
And then you dust the bottom a little bit more, and it's like they're growing out of the bottom at that point.
And so 3 of the gold coins that are in the case, Captain Mike Perna on his shakedown day, was it?
Yeah.
Second hole?
We've been very fortunate this summer, like Levin said, with putting the other boat together and then, now producing this amount of coins. The only thing I could honestly say is that when the stars aligned, this was just happened to be one of those moments. And then for us, the Just Right wasn't even in the water yet, and we took the other boat, the Mighty Mo, out to sea, went out to the Douglas Beach wreck, second hole on our first day, shakedown day. I mean, how does that even happen? I went down, okay, everything's working, came back up, moved the boat, went back down, 3 gold coins, just like that. Of course, then put another, 200 excavations around that area, didn't find anything else.
How far down did you go?
So on that site, we are in 15 to 20 feet of water. Yep. Conversely, the silver coins came out of probably 6 feet of water. So if you can imagine when you step out into the shoreline, on a nice day at the beach, you go down that little depression, that's the little trough there that you walk through, and then maybe take another 10 steps, and boy, you're certainly walking over a lot of treasure on any given day, yeah. And then for us, with what happened down there at Fort Pierce, great, but our main bread and butter has been up here in Sebastian, so we then moved the boat up to Sebastian. We've been working a trail that's about a mile long since 2019. We found some pretty neat stuff all along that trail. And from coin to coin is about a mile long, and we've got a lot of areas where we decided, okay, the big pile feels like it's just a little further down, so we make a big jump. So we wound up over the years kind of having these gaps in the areas that we've been working. So this year we went and plugged in some of those gaps, and that's where 2 of the gold coins came from, and which again in and of itself is remarkable. And then of course Levin, he put the Just Right in the water. First day out, shakedown day, wound up finding some cool artifacts. Second day, not a third day, stars aligned. on his way to finding 1,000 silver coins. So really unheard of, but when it works out, and it definitely feels good to be on the receiving end of that finally. He made how many excavations this year?
19 on the coins.
19 on the coins. We did 1,499 and produced 5 gold coins. So, however it shapes out. So
That's right.
That's the way it works. Sometimes it happens, and other times you gotta work. He knows. He's laughing. He knows what it is. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
Where are you digging next?
What were the GPS numbers again?
Let's take a quick look. I got a split.
Go ahead, buddy.
Way to go, guys.
Baby.
Did you find the chest with that, or
Yes.
just all
No,
scattered?
Find that at your shop, at the museum.
Way to go, guys.
Thanks for coming.
I'm not sure if it was brought to anybody's attention, but there's a very unique artifact in there, that lead object. It's kind of unassuming.
Yeah.
If you look at it real close, you'll notice there's what appears to be a figure on there. We did some research on it, and the Fleet Society, who has a nice booth in the back, did some further research on it, and come to discover that that was in fact a lead papal seal that would have likely been with some documents that would have given somebody in that time period basically their nobility.
A royal decree.
Yep, and so that was a royal decree, and so that particular one matches up one that was found in the late 1800s in a library, and identical, and the one that is nice and clean that came out of the library shows that it was issued by King Philip II, so in the late 1500s.
Yeah.
So pretty remarkable that
What
that
site
happened.
did that come off of?
This one came off, yep, no.
Yeah.
Cabin wreck, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, does the state, you said the state gets a portion of it, do they get to pick what portion they want?
They get to make a request, so 20% from each site, but there's some rules with that. So, and we work with the state to ensure that, within the confines of what we can do, that they're able to get what they want for the museum. And we do it 20% by site, and we put a value on this for the press conference, but we don't put monetary value when we're dealing with the state. We use a stationary set of points, a system that's been in place for a very long time. And because points don't, when the dollar goes up or down, that doesn't affect the point value. So yeah, so we try to do that. And, some stuff doesn't point very high. It can be very historic, but it just depends on how the points shake out. That piece, we've never had a seal of that size, so it just tells you the uniqueness of some of the stuff.
And interesting to note also, the ship went down in 1715, if that was issued in whatever late 1500s, that was an antique at the time, right? And perhaps however long the gentlemen or people who owned that originally, they could have been long expired, and that was, maybe passed on to their heirs or who knows what, so, yeah.
Might have had a pretty important document with it. Of course, the document did survive the shipwreck.
And likely,
Yeah.
yeah.
What else, folks?
I got a question. Do you think your metal detector was broken because it was just ringing off a huge area? Or was it like individual at first and then it trickled?
It was definitely individual, a trickle into the main deposit. There was a point in time when I did go back down after being on the main deposit of coins and having come up with a glove full already. I dropped back down, turned my detector on. The visibility again is maybe a foot, and it's just ringing, and it kind of fizzled out, and died. And I'm like, oh well, my detector's dead. Took a swipe on the bottom, and the whole bottom's covered in coins. I didn't really need the metal finder at that point. It's just like, all right, here we go.
Man.
And I think we pulled 200 and close to 300 coins out that day. So over 100 in just the whole.
It got so customary and blasé at the end there. So Luke, this is your first season working on treasure boat.
Yeah, I'm spoiled. I'm ruined now.
He was coming up later and said, I only got 4 coins.
Yeah.
He was mad about it.
Mike was talk to me at the docks like, "What would you guys do?" Well, we're just cleaning up. We got a couple coins, 5 or 6. I mean, just like, you fuck.
No idea.
Yeah, one day we all got together and he revealed to us that he had found more silver coins and beer cans at that point.
A good start.
I think I only found 1 or 2 this year, so.
Beer cans.
Beer cans, yeah.
And for those who don't know, it's littered with beer cans out there. If with a metal detector in your hand in any given excavation, but on any given day, it's quite possible to find a 5-gallon bucket full of beer cans. Apparently, back when, before they started informing people that they need to put their trash in the garbage, people threw all their beer cans and soda cans in the water, and so it was just littered out
Yeah, we do some cleanup, some trash pickup. Yeah. All right. Yes, sir.
Levin, are you hiring?
We'll see.
Solid crew.
We'll see, yeah,
there.
we,
It's in your hands.
the boat.
It's in your hands there.
That's right, the future. The boat, its name is just right. The middle name is finicky. We deal with a lot of different things, when it comes to anybody owning a boat, they can understand that. But we barely made it home at the end of the season, so it limped through.
It gave its all.
It did exactly what it was supposed to do, and we'll see about next year. So.
Sell a few coins and repower.
Yeah, right. Or another boat.
Yeah. All right. All right, so if there are no more questions, or if y'all are welcome to talk to us individually, but if you hadn't gotten a chance, come on up, take a look at the treasure, and if you need us to take the tops off so you can see it without the glare for your pictures, that's fine too. We appreciate y'all coming, and yeah.
Rich? Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rich, I didn't see
Could
you.
you talk a little bit more about the seal and make people aware that the September Treasure of the Month article is on the Society website?
Right.
Fascinating story.
Sure.
And if you could tell a little bit about.
Yeah, absolutely. So we work closely with the 1715 Fleet Society, and that's a nonprofit whose foundation is on education. And so we've been working closely with them. When we have an interesting find, we share with them so that they can then put the research, and Ben Costello, and he had some help, put together some research on Mike and I's initial research on that document seal, which is that royal decree seal. And they, Mike, you already talked about it a little bit, how that we found something that was in Pennsylvania, the museum that had a similar one, but it really nailed down what it was, which just looking at it initially, you couldn't really make heads or tails of it. Actually, Mike, when he found it, for just a split second, because of the weight, thought he had a gold disc. So he was not too happy when he got up to the top and saw it was just an old nasty piece of lead. But all that glitters is not gold, and there's a good example. And so yeah, if you haven't already, a lot of you I know have, find that 1715 Fleet Society website. You probably got a brochure in the back that has information, and look at the different posts, and especially that post. It's a great amount of research on that particular discovery. Yeah.
And I'd just like to add too, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the 1715 Fleet Society, they're a great organization. They support us, but they're also doing a tremendous effort to preserve the legacy of the 1715. And so, much like all your involvement here today and what we're doing, that's what we're doing out here, is just preserving our local history. Obviously, it's called the Treasure Coast for this reason. And since the days of the ships sinking, to the initial salvors that first came out there, to the pioneers that started out here, to us, this is what it looks like. And they do a great job sharing all of that information. So I definitely recommend, if you have an opportunity, certainly check out their website, 1715fleetsociety.com.
Right.
But also, if you're not already a member, I definitely recommend doing that, because that just helps support that whole cause. And they have conferences, and every month they put out the Treasure of the Month, and just share tons of stuff that even guys like us learn from, because they go back in the history books and find things that people just don't know about, and share that. So booths back there, super cool.
Yeah, and the next conference is this January, so it's going to be at the Indian River State Community College in Vero Beach. I think you're still selling tickets for that.
We have flyers back there.
Okay, and that's a great event. It has some of the most the most noteworthy speakers in the shipwreck community, from not just from 1715 Fleet, but from other shipwrecks across the globe. But the last one was really, I learned a great deal, and you meet a lot of the like-minded people. So we recommend that highly.
And also, there is a publication that was recently put out that's on the back on their table as well, that just highlights one of the recent finds from a couple years ago from a silver chest discovery that was made. And and so things like that, they're a fantastic resource. Definitely recommend getting involved with them in some small way, if not becoming a member.
Could you talk about your find last year, the Chinese export porcelain bottle?
Well, I think you probably could talk about it better than we could, Rich. So Rich in the back he's a porcelain historian, a porcelain expert. And Mike, you found it looked like a little brown jug, basically. And why don't you can take that, because I didn't find it.
It's just always unique to find something as fragile as a piece of porcelain or ceramic out here in our ocean that's survived 300 years after having gone down in a shipwreck and then scattered for miles and laid on the bottom and stayed intact. Just by happenstance and excavation, we discovered this jug. It certainly looked period, but of course it didn't look like anything that we're used to seeing. Typically when you think of Chinese porcelain, you think of blue and white ceramic. This was all brown. And anyways, goes through the conservation process. Rich got involved because of his expertise and started to do some more extensive research on it. And it turns out it is in fact from the Orient. And again, he would probably be much more eloquent of a speaker as far as the...
We're eventually going to put together a book about this
Right.
stuff, because it is such an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's unique is that bottle is the only bottle that has been found off the 1750 fleet. However, as a form, they found that exact same bottle going back to 970 on one of the famous
Right.
Java Sea ships that sunk then.
So that form's been around for quite some time. Yeah, and important to note that as an example of our partnership with the people of Florida, that particular unique find will be, it has been donated to the state of Florida, and it will be in the museum in Tallahassee at some point. Yeah. All right. Are we good?
Thank you guys so much for doing this.